Hey guys, Professor Bill, Comic Book University, and King Size Conan, issue number 1, 2020, because there's been King Size Conans before King Conan, all that good stuff. I think that he shops at Burger King because there's a King meal, and there's a really bad joke. Shut up. Anyway, I'm in a weird kind of mood. This final comic book I'm reading for the day, and I wanted to save Conan for last. I hoped that it was going to be the best for last. I'd say it was a pretty safe bet. This was really good. There was some pluses and some minuses to it. There's four different stories in here that really, I'm just going to run through the five different stories in here that if you didn't like one, maybe you like a different one. There's five chances to like this, all right? Including, we go with the original on this, man. We're going with the original. Let's get talking about who made this comic book. We'll talk a little bit about the stories themselves in jest in a little bit. Uh, the Thief in the City of Thieves by Kurt Busiek is the second story in here, and art by Pete Woods. Fun story, really good art. I liked it a lot. I was mostly going by the art in this one, except for the first story, which I'll get to in a minute. The mercenary died by the sword. Chris Claremont. God, like, come on, really? Wow. Pulling out the stops, baby. Pulling out the stops. You got Roberto De La Torre on art with Carlos Lopez doing the colors. Conan the Avenger. So the first one was the first one I mentioned, Conan the Thief, then Conan the Mercenary. This one is Conan the Avenger. No, it's not in the present day. And this one's called Requiem. Kevin Eastman is in here. He's the writer and artist with Niraj Menon on colors. I'm surprised I didn't see a TNMT crossover. I'm saying, would that be a bad thing? Who wouldn't want to see Raphael or Leonardo versus Conan, right? Maybe all four of them against him. You battle like thieves, ninjas, bro. I wasn't a fan of the art, but I've never really been particularly into Eastman's art style. It is what it is, but the story was still really fun and I enjoyed it. And then Conan the Corsair, the Ship of the Damned. Stephen S. Denight is the writer, and it was a really, really good story. Like, great way. I mean, we've seen versions of the story before. Whatever, man. Are the stories told? Maybe. But this particular story, I just really liked it a lot. You didn't hear me say anything about the art, right? Bro, Jesus Saez, art and colors. If Marvel has any brains anywhere within that system, that network of executives and whatnot and wannabe fans, they will have Jesus Saez doing Conan art in this incredible way that I can only really compare with Frazetta because, I mean, no, it's a different style, but it's the idea that the love that is put into this work is insane. Nobody does this. Like, this looks a lot like wow, is what it looks like. Alex Ross is the name that temporarily escaped my mind. Imagine if Alex Ross just boom did a comic book again, right? This looked kind of like that. It was just amazing. God, I need to see more of this. VC's Travis Lanham on letters for the whole book, and Andrew C. Robinson doing the cover art. A whole bunch of people doing variant covers, including John Buscema. He did the Hidden Gem one, so there's that. This was just such an incredible book. Of course, Conan was created by Robert E. Howard. I didn't talk about the first story, though, Conan the Barbarian. Aftermath and a beginning. Guys, Roy Thomas is the writer on this, and he is, like, he's the original Conan writer for Marvel. There are plenty of people, obviously, who heard of Conan from the pulps when Robert E. Howard created and continued writing this character. Several other people have taken on some of his stories. I've read some of them also, but the Robert E. Howard ones were always the best. Taking them off of H.P. Lovecraft's Call of Cthulhu story, and then, several later on, his Cthulhu mythos. And he's just made this incredible character, right? Like a man. It's not about toxicity or anything like that. Don't just keep all that nonsense out of your head. It's about a man who, yeah, he happens to be ridiculously strong. He happens to look really freaking good. He happens to be able to, bang a whole bunch of chicks. I mean, freaking man. But no, he's a man because he keeps his word also. Even if he's Conan the Thief, he keeps his word. His word is his bond. And you don't get a whole lot of that today. You get people talking a good game about it, but you don't actually find a whole lot of people keeping that mentality. And if more of us, I believe, I think that this is one of the main appeals of Conan. If more of us, men and women, read Conan, like the original stories, and a lot of what this man here, Roy Thomas, has done, my God, man. Honestly, I think that the world would very much be a better place. Anybody who's not a huge Conan fan, especially not the older, the original stuff, or the Roy Thomas stuff, I'm sure they get the idea. Oh yeah, I've been running around with authority, tapping people up. Shh. Go back to the kiddie table because the adults are speaking right now. Okay? I'm talking amazing, amazing stories of a man with honor having to deal with some tough crap and not complaining about an ounce of it. Just walking forward, standing tall. That's a real Conan story. And very few people can bring that better than Roy Thomas. And yet, the man goes above and beyond. And you might notice a couple of similar scenes in here that you've seen in Conan issue #1, which came out recently in one of those dollar comic books. Not the dollar counter, not the dollar bin comics. No. The actual $1 comic books that Marvel puts out every so often. The True Believers, I think that's what they're called. Man, this is like to see this and to see it go back. Like it literally brought me back and makes me want to go back and start reading those books. And if I didn't have so much to do today, I'd say it's a pretty safe bet that I would, and I might break some appointments. So I might not have quite as much study time today because I want to go back and just read all those amazing Roy Thomas books. Now, what we get on here is Steve McNiven and Ivy Svorcina. I apologize for butchering that name. I know that I did. And yeah, 100 Lashes with a Wet Noodle coming to me, I'm sure. Good art. To be honest, I'm not so sure why they weren't able to just go back and get some of the original art. Like, what happened to Barry Windsor Smith?
He stopped doing comics.
Oh.
Yeah, but he started a new one.
Oh.
It's called Monster.
Oh, shoot. Really? When's that coming out?
Next month.
Next month. Get the... Cool. All right, Barry Windsor Smith, man. I'm glad.
Yeah, returning after 15 years.
15 years. Yeah, that's pretty wicked. That's pretty wicked. Yo, rock on, my brother. Rock on. Can't wait to read it. Cannot wait to read it. No, honestly, but like, I mean, Buscema was in here. I mean, like, why couldn't he have just done some stuff?
He's old. He doesn't want to do it anymore.
Yeah, I'm sure he's old. Shut up. So what?
The guy's like in his 70s. Respect his wishes.
Whatever. Okay, excuses. Tony DeZuniga. Why not, right?
The man died, jackass.
Okay, rest in peace on that one. I'm sorry, like, you know what I'm saying? Look, the idea is, I just think it would have been nice to get one of the original artists for the book to actually, come in and like, boom, and it's nice that they got Zuniga. I'm assuming they got Buscema to do this. Like, rock on, man, rock on. They got Steve McNiven to do this. And he did a freaking bang-up job. I gotta admit, I wanted so hard, like, Roy Thomas, Mr. Alter Ego himself, to come back and do this. And, like dude, Jupiter and Saturn doing that aligning thing, like, closer than ever before. That's how this happened. I know I'm a man of science, and I don't believe in astrology and stuff like that. But you know what? I'm going to say, coincidence? I think not. Look, the stars were aligned for this one. And like, oh my God, Roy Thomas came back to do his Conan. Conan, I promise you, would never have been this popular if it wasn't for Roy Thomas. You might say, well, actually, the Conan the Barbarian movies would actually did it. Ah, Junior! Guess who inspired that movie to be made? Yeah, Roy Thomas. The man deserves all the accolades and all the praise in the world for his Conan run. For his Conan runs. Because wow. And I wanted so hard to just bash any artist who is going to be here who is not one of the original artists. But I gotta admit, McNiven did a freaking spectacular job on this. It felt like I was back reading that original run. Man, really good. The look, the everything, fantastic. Guys, this really is a hell of a book. If you've read any of the Conan books in the past or the Call the Conqueror books, I'm looking at you. You will love this story. What's the price on this thing? $6.99 US cover price for this thick boy. Worth it. When's the last time some of you digital guys, when's the last time? I don't know how them digital books smell, boys, but oh, wow. Oh, I'm telling you. This. Guys, nothing but this. I'll talk to you guys later. Go out and grab this book because it's amazing. And consider getting some of those Marvel Masterworks. Consider going back and digging through and seeing if you could find trade paperbacks or single copies. Or maybe on the Marvel database if you're a digital guy. I ain't judging you, but you won't be able to do that. This was a great book, and man, I don't know if Roy Thomas wants to come back and do some Conan, but I would not complain for a millisecond. Guys, I'm out. Like the video, watch an ad. Go back and read some old school Conan. Professor Bill, Comic Book University. Class dismissed.